This game right here aged like fine wine. That marinated in cow shit while sitting in the fucking sun surrounded by dirt and dog piss. In shorter translation, the game isn't very good. But luckily, we won't be reviewing this version of the game, even though I'll try to talk about the other two versions of the game, Link's Awakening for the Game Boy and the DX. I want to talk about the absolute definitive version of the game, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch. Now let me start off with saying, no, I do not actually think the Game Boy version was marinated in cow shit. But I do think it aged so poorly, it's all the more reason as to why the Switch remake had to be made, because there's so much good in this tiny cartridge of a game that I absolutely would have never been able to explore the offerings this game had to bring without it. The world of this game is easily the most charming of any Zelda game. It ranges from the art direction they took to make the world look like a bunch of toys, kind of like teeny plastic figurines. Everything in this game has a special little shine to it that really makes it pop out of the screen, and I fucking love it. Everything is so gorgeous to look at that it leaves a constant smile on my face. And what makes all that so much better is they didn't take out the realism of the environment to try and keep the plastic toy aesthetic to a point where it drowns you. Let me give you an example of what I mean, because I'm sure you're telling yourself right now, Clayton, you sound fucking stupid. And I should jump off a cliff because I already said your favorite Game Boy game should be used as a coaster. So when I cut the grass in this game, it looks like I cut fucking grass. It doesn't look like I plucked a Lego out of the ground, or when the fire or magic is being shot out at you, it looks like fire and magic. Well, whatever the hell magic is supposed to look like, I guess. The reason this is so important to me though, is because of another game that has come out of recent time, being Paper Mario the Origami King. They go so hard on the paper aesthetic that it's the entire identity of the game. I don't think it's an ugly game by any means, but just look at the bosses. In Link's Awakening, you don't see me fighting a Decepticon figurine and I have to run behind him and twist the crank on his back enough times until his head pops off. Instead, you see me fighting this thing. And this thing. Okay, listen, these aren't the best examples, but at least we got the boss from Sonic Adventure 2 in here. But this leads perfectly to my next topic, being that the life in this game. Every single character you come across is so memorable and so lovable. I love every single one of them. They're all so happy and have their own characteristic, which makes the world feel so welcoming and makes you just want to have a chat with every one of them. My personal favorite being this Chain Chop. Excuse me. In this game, they're called Bow Wows. And I might sound stupid for this because, well, obviously he isn't a person I can talk to. But this Bow Wow gives off so much with just the movement alone. You cannot help but love him. When you first come into town, he's the first thing you see outside of the two little kids playing catch. At first, he's very aggressive towards you and tries to attack you, but later in the game, he gets kidnapped by some moblins, and his mom begs you to go save him. So when you do save him, not much changes right away. But then you notice when you try to take him back home, he actually starts defending you, attacking any enemies that come your way. And you get to keep him around for a while too, because when you get home, the mom asks you to take him for a walk. This is so you can get into the second temple of the game, but once you finally drop him off, it's quite sad because you spend so much time with him. But the best part is, now every time you walk past him, he now jumps for joy before launching himself at you. It's such a tiny detail to add him jumping up and down after you save him, but it really goes to show the amount of love and effort they put into this game when making it, and I think anyone can really appreciate that. I haven't even talked about the other characters in the game. For example, the phone guy. In the game, there are these little phone booths that when you pick up the phone, a guy on the other end will tell you a hint on what to do next, and this is actually super helpful because sometimes this game will just straight up not tell you jack shit what to do, and you just leave the fucking temple looking like a fucking jackass with your dick in your hand, wondering what the hell you're supposed to do. But that's besides the point. At first, I thought the phone guy was just that, a phone guy. Kind of like Nessa's dad in Earthbound, you never see him, but he's there to help. But no, this is not the case actually. He lives in town and you can visit him. He's this cute little old man sitting in his chair, but it gets even better when you find out he's super shy. If you go and talk to him in his own home, he'll politely ask you to only talk to him over the phone, and it's actually the cutest thing, and I would die for him. There is so much to unpack in this game. I could honestly gush over every single little detail endlessly, which makes the ending all the more heart-wrenching. But more on that later because I haven't even begun to talk about the story. In Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch console, you start off with this beautiful animation of Link on his raft in the middle of the sea during a harsh storm, and BAM! Lightning strikes, and the ship is fucking curtains for him. But thankfully for him, he washes up on an island called Koholint Island. Well, a girl named Marin finds you and brings you in until you wake up, and that's where the game starts. Marin is kind of like the Zelda of the game, except she doesn't get kidnapped or anything. She's just kind of the love interest, and a hell of a lot more character development than any version of Zelda really. But now it's your objective to get off the island, and you are told by this mysterious talking owl the only way off this island is to wake up the being called the Windfish with the 8 musical instruments. Very short and sweet, to the point, expected from any Zelda game really. Each instrument is in their own respective temple, and after you beat the boss of said temples, you get yourself an instrument. And I'm gonna keep it real with you folks. These temples ain't no fucking joke. Especially in the late game. The late game temples have some seriously hard to figure out puzzles and makes you just sit staring at the map for 30 minutes wondering what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. But these temples do come with their flaws. Unfortunately, every temple have these stairs that take you underground, then take you to another end of the map, and the other end is only accessible from those specific set of stairs. And at first, there's nothing wrong with it, because there's usually only 1 or 2 pairs of stairs you have to go through in the temples. But in the late game, you have like 4 or 5 pairs of stairs, which only lead to their specific pair's end. When looking at the map, it does not tell you what stairs lead to where. So this gets very frustrating when you know where to go, but didn't pay close enough attention to what stairs took you where, and you have to try each one, but unlucky for you, you have to go through all these dumbass rooms, or teleport to the next floor, or reopen your item bag to switch items, so you can hit that switch from across the fucking room. It's so infuriating. It's so annoying that they didn't have something like a line, or even a matching color showing what stairs lead to where on the map. It's such a small oversight that could have easily been avoided. Another oversight they didn't think about is the buttons your items go on. Like, yes, X and Y are fine, but just every single temple makes you use every item you've gotten thus far in the game. So why not add L and R alongside X and Y like every other Zelda game known to man? ZL and L are mapped to the same thing. It's also the same problem for ZR and R. They had 2 extra buttons to work with, and they just duplicated them. So you're constantly pausing and opening your menu to switch between items again and again. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a nuisance that could have easily been avoided. Regardless of those 2 flaws, the temples and the puzzles in this game are a ton of fun, and it's absolutely so satisfying to finally figure out that puzzle you've been stuck on for so long. The bosses at the end of each temple are a ton of fun as well. They're all very simplistic, but figuring out the secrets and just being able to well on them after you exploit that secret is super satisfying and very rewarding. The combat in this game is exactly what you would think it would be like in a top-down Zelda game. You get your basic sword attack, your shield, and all your offensive items as well. You equip to your X and Y buttons, and of course your spin attack. But this reminds me of a problem with one of the boss fights I had with regarding the combat. When you run into him, he's blocking the way of a key you need to get to access the next temple, and every single attack you do towards him does not work whatsoever. You hit him with your sword, but he blocks with his shield, so obviously a spin attack will not work on him because it's your sword, right? What, are you fucking stupid, you grown-ass man, baby? Of course it will fucking work, but only on the specific area on his shield that he was walking with earlier, you dumbass. How could you be that stupid? Did you even pass baby school? It's so stupid because I tried the spin attack and it straight up did not work. So why does it work specifically on his shield? I kid you the fuck not, I spent way too long on this boss, and it's the only time I died in the game because I could not figure out how to damage him, because why the fuck would my spin attack work in such a specific areas on his goddamn shield when my sword itself wouldn't? So it's so out of place because they don't even do this kind of thing in any other game. They don't even give you any kind of indicator of, hey, you have the spin attack because it's stronger. I wanted to punch a hole through my monitor when I looked up how I was supposed to beat him. Thankfully, this only happens one other time at the final boss, but by that time you kind of get the idea because of the fight mentioned before. So it doesn't take long for you to understand what you have to do during that fight. But after that fight with the Armos Knight that I mentioned before, you come to find some hieroglyphics on the wall explaining to you that the island is nothing more than a dream from the Windfish, and that once he wakes up, the dream ends, essentially saying that the island will cease to exist alongside the people and the animals residing there. But Link is a fucking G, doesn't give a single fuck about anyone on this island, and goes to wake that bastard up anyway, because he wants to fuck off this island.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
After collecting the last instrument from the final temple and then entering the Windfish's domain, you come to find out that it has this kind of Lost Wood vibes where you go to specific areas in a specific order to get to the end of the domain. And the only way to find out this order is from a fetch quest that you've been doing all game. And you probably didn't even notice because it ties in with the story. It starts with this Yoshi doll you win in a crane game in the main town, which, by the way, is a little shit game because for some reason Yoshi kept popping out for no reason, and whoever designed Yoshi's physics to be like that should burn. Excuse me. But then it leads you to getting this cute little monkeyish bananas, and then so on, eventually leading you to a magnifying glass, which you need in order to read a book that tells you the order you have to go in for the final room in the Windfish's domain. The final boss then shows up and explains to you that the monsters are actually nightmares and they have been taking over the dream so they can take over the island forever. They then take the nightmares from Link himself and fights in the forms of familiar foes like Ganon and one other weird red guy from Link to the Past I don't remember the name of. Link plays the Awakening song one last time and is greeted by the Windfish and thanks him for his courage, and you get to see the island and all the people we have grown to love to cease to exist, including my precious Bow Wow. You see Link with the rest of the ship he has left after being struck by lightning at the beginning of the game, and sees above him the Windfish thanking him one last time and leaves him stranded in the middle of the fucking ocean while the fuckhead flies away. What a cunt. And that's Link's Awakening. There's a few things I haven't mentioned, like the secret ending you get if you beat the game without dying, which I got because I'm a professional gamer. And I hear you right now saying, but Cleytito, you said that you died on that dumbass boss with the oversized shield. Shut the fuck up, pussy. Everyone knows that Back Ocean revives you when you die, dumbass, so it didn't count. But the ending is just Marin singing her signature song, and she appears in the sky and gives the player a wink while a seagull flies by, insinuating that she was able to become the seagull she wanted to be so she could share her song with the rest of the world. No, I'm serious. That was a legitimate thing you had to read to progress through the game. And I fucking loved it. There's also a few things they added. For example, there is 2 remakes of this game. The original version being on the OG Game Boy, and the remake called Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy Color, which they added a new temple called the Color Temple. Beating it gives you the option to choose between a red or blue tunic, one giving you damage and the other giving you defense, respectively. This is of course carried over to the Switch version, and they also added a dungeon maker, which they really just fucking hammered down your throat over and over. You do this at Dompe's house and he gives you challenges to do, and you'll get rewarded with a heart container, a secret shell, and a full heart container if you do all of his challenges. I'm going to be completely honest, it's fine. Like, that's it. It does the job, but the fact they made me keep coming back to it if I wanted to 100% the game is pretty annoying because I didn't really want to play with it to begin with. They actually removed this cute feature in the original game for the Dungeon Maker where you would take random photos of yourself and with people or objects, and it would go in like a scrapbook, and it was super cute and really sad to see that they took it out, especially with the visuals being as pretty as they are now. And oh my god, I cannot believe I forgot to talk about the music. The music is honestly some of the best I've ever heard from a Zelda game. It's constant banger after banger, and the Awakening song just hits the right spot every single time. I love the music so much. My words alone cannot do it justice. You have to give it a listen when you can. Please do yourself the favor and listen to the soundtrack. With that, I think that wraps up the review, and honestly, I cannot stress this enough. I absolutely love this game so much. I recommend it to every single Switch owner. It is an absolute must buy. From the striking visuals to the gameplay and the music, it's all so good. Do yourself a favor, toss out that brick you call Game Boy, get yourself a Switch, maybe even throw some salami, pour the mustard on top, throw it all on a bun, take a bite out of that Link Awakening sandwich.